Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. We'll see how many on this holiday Monday in Canada. And we'll see if folks are sleeping in. Brahim's not. He's of course, in the United States. Next Monday is, hi, Mike from Norland. Next Monday would be Memorial Day in the United States. Okay, Laurie Lee, Ventura, California. Andrea, Niagara Falls, and Manette, how are you? Sandy and Carol from West Virginia. Nick, good morning from our staff. Patricia, Calgary. Mary, Norwich. And Gloria, good morning. And Fran, how are you? Orangeville. Wendy from Markham. And Kevin, Oshawa, Yalaud, bonjour. Marine, Newfoundland and Maryland. Percy Boom, where is that? West Virginia, who is that? Lori and Ryan from Sarasota, Florida. Derek, good morning. Norma, Texas. And I missed that. Okay. Hazel, it gets up into the clouds, guys. I can't see it. Carrie, how are you? And I think, yeah, that's Frida. Donna, Bell Valley. And Cynthia. And Sandra, good morning to you. Deb from Motown. And Luella, West Tennessee. Rita, the French River, beautiful. Sandy, Chilliwack, British Columbia. And I missed that. And Francis from Vaughn. Cheryl, West Virginia. Nativity. Donna, good morning. And Dave, how are you? And Linda, New Brunswick, good morning to you. Lynn and Gary, Viderma, getting that sun. Carol, Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. And Joanne, hello. And I think that's Milika. April, how are you? Bobby, couple more guys as we get going here. Maryland, Kelowna. Rosa and Nancy. Anybody I missed there? Wanda from Ridgeway. And Gail, how are you? In Saskatchewan. Nancy, good morning. And so we got a lot of people off and enjoying a holiday. Kathy, I didn't mean to miss you. Cheryl. And Dave, how are you? Dale, good morning. And I can't see that. Linda, Waterloo. Yvonne from Petawawa, good morning. And Maryland. Okay. Okay, so let me go. Marianne, I didn't mean to miss you. Joanne, how are you? Anne, how are you from St. Catharines? Another Anne. And John from Elgin, Illinois. I hate to miss you guys. Erna from Lindsay. Maggie, how are you, Maggie? And Donna from Park Hill. Tammy, Sturgeon Falls. Sherry, Mississauga. Okay, now let's go over this here. Marilyn. Now, Marilyn, I got to ask you maybe to rephrase this question because I'm not quite sure what you're asking, okay? And maybe you sent it in right and maybe my staff just didn't put it down right. I don't know what the question is, so it's hard for me to answer. Stimulating the vagus nerve with digestion. And if so, how do we stimulate it? I can't quite figure out what you're asking. You know, are you asking, can you stimulate the vagus nerve with digestion? Well, I never really thought of that too much. The vagus nerve, guys, is your 10th cranial nerve, okay? It's not Las Vegas, it's the vagus nerve. Now, we know so much more than we used to know. And one way the brain and the gut connection, okay, we know from the microbiome that the microbiome, the bacteria in your gut, talk to the bacteria, they communicate with each other amazingly with the bacteria in your brain. And one of the ways they do it is through that vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, which is attached to the base of your brain and goes down into the stomach. When you get butterflies, think about that. You know, you're nervous. You get butterflies. You feel it. You don't feel the butterflies up in your brain. You feel them in your gut, right? Like, ugh, what is that? Well, that's the 10th cranial nerve. Okay, so I'm not quite sure, Marilyn. If so, how do we stimulate it? Well, chiropractic can stimulate the 10th cranial nerve. And through manipulation. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that would stimulate that 10th cranial nerve. Massage therapy can affect there. I don't know. Anyway, maybe if you rephrase that, Marilyn, for me, maybe there's something specific that you're looking for that it's not coming to mind. Judy, do you have any solution for preventing tartar build up in the teeth? Well, guys, I tell you orally, and I've said this to you for many, many, many years, I just find nothing better orally than, you're going to brush your teeth, of course, and I try and, do a natural toothpaste as much as possible without any additives or anything. But the thing that I really like is oil of oregano. I really like a few drops of oil of oregano on the toothbrush. It's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. Very good for getting white teeth and to stop the buildup of tartar. Okay. And maybe you guys give some of your suggestions too. Okay. When you scroll down, let's see if we see anything else. Grace, what are your thoughts on hormone balancing skinny drops? Well, look, I had to look them up. They're homeopathic drops. Guys, and maybe it's just the name that bothers me, skinny drops. If you think taking a couple of drops of anything, homeopathic or otherwise, is going to help you get skinny, good luck with that. Okay? There's no magic, guys. There's no magic to weight loss. Okay? There's no magic. There's no magic to hormonal balancing. It's not magic. And when someone is upside down with their hormones, or for example, has a metabolic storm, where all of the endocrine system is upside down, you can take all the little wee drops you want. It ain't going to help. Okay? Now, I don't want to comment too much on that because, as far as these drops, I was never aware of them before. Okay? And I certainly, I know about homeopathy, but like I said, there's no simple solution. And the idea that you can fix hormones without getting at, you got to build a foundation, okay? So when it comes to your thyroid, when it comes to your ovaries, when it comes to your adrenals. Because you guys know me. Let me just see. I might even have it in front of me. I used to do this with my patients all the time. And let me just see. I do have it here. Okay. Okay. I used to build a pyramid. So I'll do it again. Let's see if I got my crayon. Yeah, I got my marker. Okay. So let me show you this because I think this is really important. I used to do a lot of teaching in my office, and I'll just put markers here, okay? And I do this, okay, and then this. I would draw this pyramid. Now, you guys know that I flunked art, right? Okay? So don't come after me for that, okay? Now, at the top is your thyroid, okay? At the bottom, ovaries or testes, and this was estrogen, and this was progesterone. Then you have cortisol because of, and then insulin. This is really important, guys, to get a balance, okay? So, when we go over this pyramid, let me go over it with you, okay? You gotta fix all of this. And one of the keys to fixing even the thyroid, okay, even the thyroid is fixing insulin. That's the food. Okay, that's the food. And you gotta fix insulin because if you don't fix insulin resistance, I've never seen a case that I can remember, at least, that they were out of whack hormonally, and almost invariably, they were carboholics. So you had to fix insulin. I would get them to balance estrogen and progesterone. Very, very key for women. Very key. You can't balance unless your estrogen and progesterone are balanced. And then the thyroid, you see, was like a puppet up here. And the thyroid doesn't work on its own. Unfortunately, in medicine today, okay, this is one of the biggest problems in medicine, in my opinion. They focus in on that. On thyroid. You have endocrine doctors. Oh, it's your thyroid. Or it's not your thyroid because your blood tests are normal. And so then they dismiss it. And yet, if you take all of the hormones in the pyramid, okay, I'll give you an example. When you're stressed, okay, these are the adrenals. Okay, adrenals on top of kidneys. When your cortisol is going through the roof, it's going to slow your thyroid to a crawl. And when cortisol is prevalent, it robs progesterone. So what happens? Now you got an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone. Your estrogen becomes dominant. And when estrogen is dominant, it slows the thyroid to a crawl. And you gain weight without, you can just, you know how many women just look at food and they gain weight? And they go, Doc, it's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. But you're complicated. You have hormones. And this teaching, I would teach them that so that they understood, number one, it's not their fault. It's not you, it's your hormones. You're too much of a woman. You got too much estrogen. But there's a reason for that. And we're going to fix that. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is to eat. You know, somebody said, Doc, what about eating for your body type? Yeah, I like that. You're a woman? Cut out the carbs. Yeah, that's eating for your body type. I'm a woman. Okay, well then cut the carbs out. Well, maybe not completely out. You'll do it for 30 days. Do the reset. Because if you lower insulin resistance, okay? The reason I put insulin in the middle here is because the pancreas, it's right underneath your stomach. And so I used to teach this. I called it Hormones 101. Well, Dr. Martin, my doctor says my thyroid is normal. I said, oh yeah, your hair's falling out. You're gaining weight just by looking at food. Your eyebrows are thinning. You're cold all the time. Your nails are brittle. Yada, yada, yada. It was one thing after another, all thyroid symptoms, but I said, nah, it's because of this pyramid here. Okay? We call this the Category 5 storm. And I literally saw tens of thousands of patients over the years. And women who would fall through the cracks of medicine. They fall through the cracks because whenever they took any test, they focused in on the thyroid usually. And, oh, your thyroid. But folks, listen, thyroid numbers, okay, are very, very unrevealing most of the time. Because the numbers of what they call normal thyroid numbers, that's from here to eternity. Your TSH. And even T4 and T3 numbers can often be deceiving. My dad taught me something. Symptoms trump, okay? Symptoms trump the lab. Symptoms trump the lab. The lab, it's not that it's not important. You guys know me. I like lab work. I got no problem looking at lab work. But how many times have I asked, you know, because they come in, they already had their blood work done or whatever. And I said, well, you're not, I want to hear from you. What are you feeling? Because a lot of this stuff was what we call subclinical. The lab wasn't picking it up. So you get what so if you want to take a couple of skinny drops, and you think you're going to fix this pyramid, yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. And guys, the foundation is food. It's the thing you can control. And when you lower your insulin, when you lower that, what we call insulin resistance, it's amazing what happens. It's amazing what happens, but you got to start there. And then I would lower the cortisol if cortisol needed to be lowered. I'd often stimulate the thyroid. Okay, every one of my formulas, guys, I used in my clinic. I had to get results. I had to be able to, if numbers were out of whack, I had to be able to change numbers. But I was much more interested in changing symptoms. Okay? So this here is really, really important. Okay? That pyramid with the thyroid on the top and the ovaries on the bottom. Men are much less complicated. Okay? But I'm going to tell you something. Millions and millions of men, probably around 60-70% of men in North America today, have low levels of testosterone. They got more estrogen than their wives at 50 years old. A woman's estrogen is going down, and a man's estrogen is going up. Thus, the prostate starts giving them trouble. Okay? But guys, it's in here. It's in here. I don't know how many women, literally, guys, okay, would start crying. We often had, you ask my staff, we often, here's some Kleenex, okay? We kept Kleenex handy. Because I said, well, this is what's going on. This is why you feel so rotten. This is why you're gaining weight. This is why your skin. How many young women? They were so upside down metabolically. Their hormones were in the tank. Acne. Doc, I'm growing hair on my chin. I said, yeah, well, you got too much estrogen. You're too much of a woman, and that's driving your testosterone up. And your thyroid is slowed to a crawl. You know how many cases we saw of PCOS? Polycystic ovarian disorder? Where there was estrogen coming out the wazoo and not enough progesterone to level it out. It slowed the thyroid to a crawl. And yet the blood tests were all coming back within normal limits. Anywho, okay? That pyramid, I just don't know how many thousands of times over the years I took that pyramid out and drew them a little pyramid. And I showed them their hormones. But answering your question, Grace, if someone's telling you that one little simple fix, run. Forrest, run. Couple of little drops going to fix all your hormones, run. Not going to happen. Okay? It says Victorine here. What helps an enlarged heart? Well, you got a big heart. Okay? Mine is enlarged at the top left side. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean, Victorine, it doesn't necessarily mean problems. Okay? Some people have an enlarged heart and their heart's working perfectly well. Some people get enlarged hearts and the heart's not pumping properly. Okay? Where you get congestive heart failure. And that heart, even though it's enlarged, it's not pumping out. The pump is not working as well. So you need to answer a question for me, Victorine, if you want something specific. How you doing? If you're doing real good and they just happen to see an enlarged heart. I know a lot of people, they either had an x-ray done or whatever, and I got an enlarged heart. Okay? But that doesn't necessarily make it a weak heart. But you want to do everything you can, Victorine, on keeping your heart in good shape. You want to do that? You know how to do it? Start with food. What does your heart love? Steak. Yeah. CoQ10. All the, I've got, in my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel, I talk about the 5 C's. Okay? From creatine, CoQ10, choline. Okay? Those are the C's that are found in steak that really help your heart. Eggs, meat, and cheese. Okay? Now, what does sugar do? Sugar destroys your blood vessels. You don't believe me? Ask a diabetic. Sugar destroys blood vessels. So you want your sugar to be under control. Okay? I was telling someone yesterday, I said every 10 years, think about this for a second. Every 10 years, North Americans consume, a ton. That's 2,000 pounds. North Americans consume every 10 years, even kids, a ton of sugar. Yikes! That destroys blood vessels, guys. And that's why, like in diabetics, they understand that. That's where their eyes are, that's where diabetics have trouble with eyes. Diabetics have trouble with kidneys. Diabetics have trouble with their heart. Because sugar is destructive. It's funny how the world says moderation, and yet your body says, nah, sugar, that's not good for me. Your body knows that. Isn't it funny how the world and, the media and all that, they talk about, moderation and sugar, your brain I heard it last week. Your brain needs sugar. Can't survive without sugar. Dr. Martin's a quack. Okay. Anywho, thank you for the questions, Victorine. Maureen, is there anything else other than sugar and carbs that can increase the triglyceride levels in our body? Well, stress can. Maureen, you can be stressed and you can have insulin resistance just with stress. Because think of it. This is, inside the body. You know what I mean? Your cortisol's up. You know what cortisol's job is? To elevate your blood sugar. It's getting you ready to fight. What if it doesn't go away? Well, that's not good. So cortisol can have an effect on your triglycerides. Okay? But, let's not get into the weeds too much. Triglycerides, 3 fat balls, triglycerides, are made in the body, in the liver, as in a response to sugar, carbs, flour. You know what flour is? You know what flour is? It's just sugar holding hands. How do you like that? What's flour? It's just sugar holding hands. When it gets to your liver, it's going to be turned to fat. Okay? It's going to be turned to fat. And that's what happens. And when the Costco parking lot, your liver, is it's elevated, when your Costco parking lot is full, your body sends out triglycerides into your bloodstream. And those fat balls better be picked up by your cholesterol. That's why you want cholesterol. That's why you don't want low cholesterol. Don't give anybody a high five because their cholesterol is low. Okay? Give them a slap. Okay? I see commercials on TV and people are giving themselves high fives. Oh, my cholesterol's down. Why did you want your cholesterol to go down? You want your cholesterol to go up so that it will go get those triglycerides, those fat balls, in your bloodstream, in your blood vessels. Ooh. Did you watch my interview on Muscle RX on YouTube. If you haven't, go over there and watch it. And you can share it too with your friends, all about cholesterol. Thanks, Maureen. Charma, do you think parasites can eat away at the brain? Yeah, they can. Yeah, sure. Parasites can get into the brain. They're very hardy. They can live forever in your body. And I look at parasites very similar to what I look at yeast, okay? Yeast and parasites, don't feed them. Don't feed the bears. They're parasites. They love sugar. Yeast loves sugar. So if you cut out sugar, okay, remember sugar is a molecule, very quick, and those little critters inside of you, they're teenagers. They love junk. They don't like steak. Parasites don't like steak. Parasites like sugar. Yeast doesn't like steak. It hates steak. There's no food in there for them. Okay? There's no food for them. They want a quick fix. They're like an addict. Parasites and yeast are addicts. They want a quick fix. Give me a fix. Give me a fix. Give me a fix. And they'll call your name when you don't feed them. So the idea, and I've been talking about this for years, don't feed the bears. I should have put my t-shirt on that says that this morning. What do I mean by bears? I talk about parasites. And I talk about yeast. Don't feed them. And they're junkies. They want junk food. So don't feed them junk. And they will not thrive. And you go after them with broad spectrum probiotics. You go after them with oil of oregano. Okay? We talk about that yeast that gets in. You know how many millions of people today are suffering from what medicine calls SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, versus SIFO, small intestine fungus overgrowth, because really that's what it is. It's a fungal infection. Yeah, there's bacteria there, for sure. It's like the bladder. You get a recurring infection in the bladder, it's not bacteria. It's yeast. It's fungal. Medicine is poorly trained on fungal infections. They're poorly trained on that. Because it all started with the discovery of antibiotics. And then everything became a bacterial infection. Look, a lot of it is, but not all of it. And that's why they don't even think of a fungus unless it slaps them in the face. They don't think of yeast. There's a lot of doctors that think, oh, yeast, it can't get into the bloodstream. Sure it can. Because even today, here we are in 2024, and they still don't recognize even leaky gut as a condition. What? Because it's submicroscopic. They've never seen it. So they go, well, it can't exist. Sure it exists. That's how parasites get into the bloodstream. Anywho, very good question, Charma. Okay, Jody talked about, I think I answered this about peeing all the time, right? Okay, let me just see if I got any more questions. We did this one. Okay, let me just see. Oh, TMAO. Jen, Apparently, unfavorably high levels are brought about by eating red meat, eggs, and dairy. Jen, it's Monday morning. Did you have to give me a headache? A migraine? TMAO. I never look at that stuff. I mean, not that I shouldn't say. I will look at it. It's often associated with inflammatory conditions, inflammatory disorders. But I always like CRP better, C-reactive protein as a test. And then when they tell you that it's associated, these inflammatory conditions are associated with eggs, meat, and cheese, Jen, run. Look, there's an agenda out there. Every day it seems I have to talk about it, the agenda. Let's get rid of dairy. Let's get rid of meat. Let's get rid of eggs. Because of cholesterol, because of inflammation, because of, it gives me a splitting migraine how silly that is. It's just the opposite, because there's nothing more inflammatory than sugar. There's nothing more inflammatory than flour, that are sugar molecules holding hands, that start a cascade of problems, including fatty liver and inflammation in the body. It's the opposite of what they told you. It's the opposite of what you heard, Jen, the opposite of it. My audience knows that. But I'm glad you bring it up. Well, not because it gives me a migraine, because I want to remind you that it's propaganda. And guys, I'm going to tell you something. It's not going to get better out there. It's going to get worse out there. It's going to be worse. The propaganda machine, the media has been bought and paid for. Big foods, Big Pharma, and the government agencies who are bought and paid for by Big Pharma and Big Food and Big Media. It's going to get worse, guys. Not going to get better. It's going to get worse. But you, as an individual, you know better. Don't believe the nonsense. Eggs, meat, and cheese are the best foods in the world. You can put anything you want up against them, including avocados, which I like, by the way. But it doesn't have the nutrient profile, the amino acids, the vitamins, the minerals, the macros, protein and fat. Best for you. Cholesterol containing foods are the best foods. Your brain's made up of cholesterol. Okay. Ruth, I would like to find out what Dr. Martin suggests taking for sleep apnea. Well, sleep apnea, first of all, fix insulin. Because what have they shown with sleep apnea? Like, sleep apnea is a lack of oxygen up to the brain, right? And you can put a device on. I get that. But that's not fixing the problem. The problem is fatty tongue. The tongue got obese. Not from talking. From insulin. Insulin makes things grow. It's a growth hormone, including the tongue. So what supplement is best for that? Okay? Food, the food supplement. Cut out the carbs. Cut out the sugars. As much as possible. Okay? And then I like cortisol because cortisol is a real important thing when it comes to sleep, even sleep apnea. I love magnesium. Okay. Lorna, what does Dr. Martin think about zombie cells? Senescent cells. What do I think of them? Well, I don't get too uptight about them. Okay? There are cells that they talk about, that are involved in, especially when you're into anti-aging medicine. They really talk a lot about these cells, senescent cells, or I don't even know how you pronounce them, zombie cells. And, look, if you eat right, okay, nothing's more anti-aging than eating right. That's something you can control. Exercise. Vitamin E, exercise. Vitamin C, coffee. Really good for those cells. Gets rid of them. The zombie ones. Okay. And remember, sleep. Okay, that glymphatic system, the self-cleaning oven, works when you're sleeping. Really emphasize sleep. Okay, I think I answered all of them. I think I did. Okay. I don't think I missed any, as far as I know. Okay. Guys, got a great week coming, which will include, Friday, question and answer Friday. So send your questions in. Don't be shy. Give us feedback, okay? We appreciate you guys more than you know. Love you dearly, and we'll talk to you soon.